Okay, folks, I have a special guest today. Constitutional stacker. He chooses not to show his face because he's wanted in most states in the United States. Everybody's looking for him, so he's going incognito. Anyway, great. He has a great channel. I'll just suggest that you go check out his channel. But we're going to chat a little bit about everything. First, silver. We're going to maybe get in whatever we feel like at the time. There's no set, and he can, in later times, he could tell you the truth. There's no script here. We're just going off the fly. Two guys just chatting. So I ran into Constitutional Stacker about 2 months ago. I've been enjoying his channel ever since. And Constitution, can I call you Constitution for now? My mouth just is not working.
Yeah, or most people just call me CS for short. That works too. So it's even shorter.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into stacking? But more specifically, I'm very interested in that phase of life before you got into stacking. And that is probably the primarily the reason that you started stacking. I want to know what your concerns were. Was it a hobby? Was it out of fear? Was it out of what you were seeing on television and the economic situation going on in the United States? I'll let you take the helm.
I started. Good morning, by the way. I watched you for years, man. So I never thought I'd have a chance to ever speak with you. So thank you. I started stacking in 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. And I remembered going to the coin shop with my old man as a kid, and I was perplexed with shiny stuff. I always thought it was cool. And when I was 28 or 29 in 2009, 2008. I found myself broke and penniless. Didn't know how I was going to pay the rent next month. Didn't know where the next meal was coming from. Sometimes I had a seasonal job. I didn't save any cash. And I didn't understand what stacking was at that point in time, but I went on APMEX, which of course is the most expensive of all. And I bought my first couple ounces. And I was so broke I had to pay the shipping. I couldn't meet the minimum. But I think I bought 2 ounces, and when it arrived and it was in my hand, I knew I wasn't going to blow it on something stupid. Take it and sell it for something stupid at the convenience store. So I knew it was something of value, and I didn't understand for a long time. I was looking at the prices every day. I'm like, why am I not rich yet? I didn't understand what it was, if that makes sense. And then now it's just an addiction. I love to stack. I mean, I think I've added 85, 90 ounces of silver to the stack in the last 6 weeks. I love it. I can't get enough.
Very similar to my story, and one key thing that you said is when you first took hold of your first 2 ounces, you knew you weren't going to spend it, but you weren't going to blow it on something. You weren't going to spend it. You were going to save it. And that's exactly how I felt. For one thing, I don't have my debit card here. It's so easy to just walk down the street, throw your debit card on the counter, say, I want to buy this. This takes a little bit more effort, doesn't it? You have to go and you got to go to the coin shop or wherever, and you got to trade it in. You got to haggle with them. First of all, you got to drive there. You got to then go in and lay it on the counter, haggle with them, get your money and drive back. You know what I mean? So it takes a little bit more effort into changing this into cash. So that's one aspect I actually, that is built into silver that I like. It takes more effort to relinquish this. Yeah. I hope what I'm doing here is I'm kind of lowering the volume every time you speak because I'm afraid it's going into the mic. I don't know if this software is smart enough to turn off my well, maybe I can try. Yeah. So I just hope there's not a reverb. Go ahead.
It sounds good to me, but yeah, I've never done it this way as far as like pre-recorded and then dropped it later. So we'll see. Um, the other thing too with selling metal is once you're a stacker, if you've ever sold metal, I don't know if you have. I have had to. I had to sell an ounce of gold and I had to sell about 50 ounces of silver, and I hated it. Like I was sad. I overextended myself. I had something coming up. Someone sabotaged one of my vehicles. And I was like, man. So, and I sold more than I had to get the problem fixed because I didn't know what I was looking at financially. And I was sad. I didn't like it. So it really kept me on the all right, don't overextend yourself track and the whole figure it out and you'll know. And I got a buddy of mine I'm actually getting ready to take down to my LCS. I've known him 20 years. And he has a little bit of silver, and I gave him some silver a couple years ago for Christmas. I think it was Buffalo or something. And he understands the value of it, but he's been watching my channel, and he's like, dude, I want to start stacking. Like, we're going down to the LCS on Monday, and he's going to start. He's like, is $5,000 good to start with? I'm like, whoa, buddy, yeah. Um, so that's exciting.
Yeah, one thing I'm concerned about with new stackers is I don't think, I mean, I don't want a blanket statement to everybody, but there's a lot of new stackers out there, or just really not even stacking yet, just contemplating. They're sitting on the fence. And I don't really think they fully understand the value of silver. And one thing I wanted to say is if you Silver Eagle right here, I don't know how well the side the side with the bird. I'm holding my hand up so the camera focuses. The side with the bird. If you take a look at it, it says $1. And that's minted by the United States government. That's Silver Eagle, minted by the United States government. It says $1. Now I don't have a dollar bill on me right now. That also is minted or printed by the United States government. That too says $1. However, this has the purchasing power of 25 of those $1 paper bills. So I think they need to start getting their mind wrapped around that. And they're both heading in an opposite trajectory. The dollar bill keeps going down, okay, as far as the amount of goods and services you can provide. Yet silver, although it has its roller coaster dips and its main trajectory is upwards. So both are headed in different directions. And I think people really need to, I think you've run into this. I think all silver stackers have run into this where they meet somebody who has no idea what silver stacking is other than, oh, it's just a hobby. And they'll laugh at you for being a child. They then will, in their next breath, will brag about how much money they have in their account, right? Not knowing that their account value is going down. That is the trajectory. So it's so funny they can brag about that, but yet put silver stackers down. And I'm sure your channel gets this a lot. All the negative freaking comments of how stupid silver stackers are. What a waste of time. You can't eat it. That's their go-to, you can't eat it.
Yeah. Oh man, you got my mind going so many different directions. The guy I'm taking to the LCS, he asked me the difference between a coin and a round, and I explained it. And I said, and it's stupid to have a face value on silver or gold. I'm not going to sell an ounce of gold for $50 because it says USA $50. And I explained that to him. He's like, okay, I understand. But I actually did a video about that very topic. You can't eat it. Guess what? You can't eat bullets. I have those. Everyone wants those. Everyone says, oh, you need bullets. Well, I can't eat those, and I have them. Silver and gold have bought more food for people throughout history than probably anything else. And if you can't buy food, then you can go hunt it if you have rounds. You can't eat it is always what they say. And it wasn't, I don't get too many haters on my channel. I do notice that I'm getting close to 2,000 subs now. I think I'm at 1937. When I did a video that got 26,000 views, they came out of the woodwork. That, The videos that get the views. I had another video that got like close to 10,000. I've had some 6,000, some 8,000s. Those are the ones that generate the traffic. But it's not coming from people who are sub to you. It's coming from the algorithm. And they say that. They say you can't eat it. Well, there's a lot of things you can't eat that you have. You can't eat your house. And I went down and I fundamentally broke this down in that video. And it didn't get the views I was hoping, but yeah, I get that, and I hear that, and it's ridiculous. You can't eat a dollar bill, but everyone wants that, or $100 bill, or whatever.
So it's funny as you were saying that. I thought about my first because you just related your first purchase, your 2 ounces of silver. I remember my first purchase. It was a bunch of, if you can just imagine, and I should have brought it out. It's basically heavy duty saran wrap type of. It basically skin tight on bunch of 1 ounce silver bars. Basically, it's just a sheet of silver bars. And I remember those were my first purchase way back in 2012, 13. And back in those days, they would never leave that silver in your mailbox. You had to sign for the package. And things have changed considerably. I can't even speak this morning. In specific, I was just shocked. I'm one of those people. I do not look at I don't look at the silver charts, the value of it every day. You'll drive yourself crazy due to that roller coaster effect. You'll drive yourself crazy. But I do remember my first tubes that I bought. This is a stack of 20 Silver Eagles, pure silver, 0.9999 for those who don't know and are new to the channel. This at the time was $365 in my mailbox. I just went on Kitco to look at the silver charts, and I was astounded what it's priced at. And I went to JM Bullion and priced how much it is to buy one tube. It's in excess, and you could do it while I'm talking. It's in excess of $900. $365 to $375 for this tube way back when. It is now over $900. I think it was actually $945, but I'm rounding things up so I don't accidentally. I'm rounding things down so I don't accidentally over exaggerate.
That's
900
insane.
for this damn tube.
That's insane.
Kitco, JM Bullion is where I always buy my stuff. I never had a problem with them. Other than that, I just love silver. I think people like you and I, well, what I should say, I think silver stackers and gold stackers, that would be you and I, are better off in certain aspects. I got to say that financially than our neighbors. You go up and down this entire community, and I can almost guarantee that although their house might be bigger or their car might be a model better than mine, I think financially I'm more sound. I think that's actually the better word. You are more financially, silver stackers and gold stackers are more financially sound than the majority of people. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. Their money is dollar bills. Again, I need to reiterate, it's a trajectory downward in their savings account. They're basing their value on something the bank has. Okay. I have in my own possession, we have in our own possession, in our homes, ounces, I should say pounds upon pounds of silver with a trajectory that's going upwards. Need I say more? Need I say more about our financial situation?
It's funny because statistically, and I used to be one of these people. I'm not putting anybody down, but to me now, having gotten to where I've gotten, and I'm not where I want to be, but it's insane for me to look back and think about this. The majority of Americans don't have $1,000 saved. Isn't that insane? I actually just ran into the problem of I had to buy a second safe. My first safe was full of let's call them Second Amendment tools, and freedom seeds and silver and gold. And it was just too tight in there. So I had to buy a secondary safe that I installed last week. And I went from having that quote unquote problem, or I went from being broke and not being able to pay the rent to having that problem where it's like I got too much stuff. And I've got a nice vehicle. I've got a lifted diesel that I love. It's paid off. I hardly ever drive it. And I've got a beater. And going down the road, which is my daily driver, the beater, you would probably think I'm uninsured and broke. But it's nice because nobody expects anything of me. You know? So yeah, I think we're in a better position for sure.
And I'll say this. Most people that I speak with, and they say they have money in the bank, it's only allocated. That money, that savings or checking account, whatever they have. First of all, most people don't even have a savings account anymore. But the money that is in their accounts is basically allotted to next month's bills.
Oh yeah.
This is not allotted. This is out of the banking system's system. This is out of their monetary system. This is not allocated to next month's bills, as all of our silver and gold is. We don't need to trade this in to pay our bills off every month. Whereas most people's savings account, that is what it's primarily for, is to pay off next month's bills. So enough. Yeah. So I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I liked it when you said nobody expects nothing from you when you're driving your car. I like that. That's good.
Well, yeah. I mean, I tell people all the time. They're like, "Oh, do you want to order DoorDash at work?" I'm like, "No, I'm broke," and that's what I want them to think. The state I live in, you can return cans for 10 cents a piece, and I have a little bin set up, and I call it my retirement fund, and they all laugh at me because they think I'm broke. Well, what they don't realize is I'm taking that cash and I'm putting it into an actual high yield savings account of 4.5%, or I'm buying my private bonds at 5.5%, or I'm putting it in the stock market, or I'm buying gold, I'm buying silver with it. I'm turning it into profits and in the end game, physical assets, and they have no idea. It's hilarious. They think cans, at 10 cents a pop is what I'm basing my retirement on. And in a way, it is part of my retirement account because I do something with the proceeds. But the less they know I have, the less they expect of me. And I think it's one, and that goes for the government too. That's another benefit of holding metal. They can't take and they can't tax what they don't know you have. You know what I mean? And you can appreciate that because you're overtaxed like me.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what it comes down to is the cans. It's irrelevant where your money comes from. You know what I mean? I think what it is it it takes too much effort for some people to acquire almost free money, um, and trade it in for silver or whatever you're allocating your can fund to. I just think, at 10 cents, you'd be a fool not to go and trade in your cans. 10 cents a can, you'd be a fool not to, because I can imagine easily that could possibly be, and you can correct me if you like, that could possibly be 1 extra ounce of silver a month.
It's more than that. I mean, I'm taking home two of those large those black trash bags a month from work at least. Plus what I drink here. I like diet soda. I do. I like sugar-free energy drinks with caffeine. That's part of my pre-workout. My buddy has one, so that's 2 cans a week, or I mean 2 cans a day that I train with him that are going in my bin because he doesn't keep them. And what you said about money, absolutely. I look at money as a collective thing. Like I'll collect money from this source, money from that source, money from that source. Like revenue is revenue. I don't care where it comes from either, as long as I'm not doing something immoral to get it. You know.
Yeah, it's like a job. There's no job low enough to, you know, what I'm trying to say is, if you're an honest working person and providing for yourself and your family and actually succeeding, it doesn't matter whether you're a ditch digger, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Money is money. And as long as you're succeeding and most importantly, you're happy, I say do it. Everybody, and I am guilty. I have this cynical mentality the older I get. And I keep saying everybody, but it's not everybody. But a lot of people nowadays in these times think everything is beneath them. You know, it's beneath me. You know what I mean? I say, great. If you're getting an extra ounce, 2 ounces, even 3 ounces, whatever it is, I don't know. I think that is a positive, a movement in the positive direction. So that's good. What else has been going on in your life?
I want to touch on that real quick. I've been with a company I've been at since 2008. I'm the salary manager. I'm one of them. So I'm, I guess, the boss. I can't tell you how many times a week I go into the restroom and I got to plunge a toilet that a customer left for me. It's disgusting. I hate it. But I know two things. I know, number one, it has to get done, and if I do it, it's the easiest way. And number two, if I ask one of the employees to do it, it's going to be a big drawn out thing. Nothing is beneath you. It's never the guys like President number 45 or the Elon Musks of the world that go to the Taco Bell drive-through and make fun of the employee. It's never those guys. It's the people who have nothing that think they're above someone else that makes fun of them for what they do for work. Have you ever noticed that? It's
A-
never the successful people.
Absolutely, I've noticed it. And it's a true statement. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been going on with you? How you been? And, are you enjoying stacking? Are you how's your channel been going? Tell us a little bit about your channel. Feel free to
Well,
talk.
I started this channel. I actually had a first channel I attempted about working out and all that stuff. It didn't take too well. I can see why. I started this channel October 1st of last year. I've been monetized about 5-6 weeks now, although they have messed with that already, believe it or not, a couple times. uh, which you understand if you want to get into that situation with being grounded and talk about that a little bit. I didn't actually get put in YouTube jail, but they did take 3 of my shorts, and I don't like doing shorts. I'm terrible at them, and I know that. And they demonetized them, and I contacted support. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And a real person reviewed it and said, "Oh yeah, we made a mistake." But here's what they did: they didn't put the views back, and they didn't put the money back, which I thought was interesting. That was real kind of them. And then, like 2 days later, I go back in and there's like another $6 missing. I'm like, "This is awesome." Uh, and I never broke their community guidelines, which is hard for me to do. I have to be very careful what I say. So there's that. So the channel's been doing pretty well overall. I mean, it's just over 6-7 months old, so that's pretty cool. Uh, you know, the only reason I got to the point I got to is because a guy who's now has become a dear friend, Savage Stacker. He found me early in the game. I think I had like 14 subscribers, and he started shouting me out. I'm like, "Oh, this guy's nuts! This is awesome!" And he did a giveaway on my behalf with his own stuff to promote me. I mean, this is an awesome community. So that's all I got to say about the YouTube thing. It's crazy how awesome the people in this whole stacking community can be. It's just phenomenal.
I, I I concur. Everybody that I've met in the stacking community has been awesome. They've um, they've actually taught me a lot, to be honest with you. And it's gotten to the point I actually like listening to their own silver videos and then creating mine at times. But I want to say something about YouTube's mistake, and I want to actually expand that to banking mistakes and bills that you get in the mail mistakes and medical stuff that you get in the mail mistakes. Ever notice that all these mistakes? What is a mistake? It's a gamble of odds. That means you have a 50% chance that the mistake would be in your favor. Imagine this: out of all the mistakes everybody is claiming to make, they're never in our favor.
You know what? You're right. They never are. And I'm laughing. I got a smile ear to ear because that is a phenomenal point. I've never, I've heard stories about the IRS overpaying
Which
people.
means that they're not mistakes.
Oh,
They're
100%.
in my opinion purposeful, and hopefully you don't catch it.
100%. And now it's like they're saying, "Oh, we overpaid X amount of unemployment benefits during the thing a couple years ago. You got to pay it back." And of course, I'm sure they're charging penalties, so that was probably on purpose too. Uh, it's funny though. You're right. Like the mistakes never ever end up benefiting you or I, the hardworking, honest, tax-paying citizen. I never thought about it those terms, but you're 100% correct. That's phenomenal. Um, how's your shoulder doing? I've got a bad shoulder. I uh, I found a little something that kept me off the table because I'm a big giant wimp and I don't want to go through that. Although I do need to get a hernia fixed, which I'm not looking forward to. But how's your shoulder doing after surgery?
So I'm about going on. I'm going on. I just entered into my 5th month of post-op. I got my surgery done on December 28th. To according to all the doctors and all the surgeons, it's a year-long healing process, meaning that I will not be 100% healed for about 11 to 12 months. So I did some research on peptides, and that's an amino acid chain. It's a protein chain. I did some research. Matter of fact, they're actually selling over-the-counter peptides. Call it this one, collagen peptides over the counter. So a lot of people actually taking them in the form of powder, protein powder. So I did my investigation through a few people. BPC 157, I think it's called. BPC. It's a peptide. Again, it's not a drug, because as soon as you mention something, everybody, oh, he's doing drugs. Everybody. So what it does is it accelerates the healing process. That's all it does. To what measurement, I don't know, because I don't have a baseline. It's the first time I've ever used it. So I've never used it before, let's say on my other shoulder. So I don't know by how much it is accelerating the healing process. And BP 157, if I say that backwards in the future, it's 157, BPC 157 peptide, an amino chain peptide, injectable, subcutaneous, with a insulin needle. You don't even feel it going in. Around the you just pinch your skin and you stick the needle within your fold there, which you're grabbing onto. I could tell you this: 5 months, going on 5 months. I just entered my 5th month. I feel 75% better. So perhaps my hopes, because I like to work out. Let's just put it that way. And if it accelerated my healing process by 1 or 2 months, meaning that it turned a 12-month healing process into 10 months, I'd be happy. But so far, these are movements. I'm actually grabbing my arm, pulling my elbow. These are movements I couldn't do before. I couldn't raise my arm before. Okay. Just putting my arm in the back of my head. I can feel a little tension in my shoulder there, but before I couldn't do this. I was relegated to washing my whole head of hair with one arm, but now I can actually do certain movements, is what I'm trying to say. So my some of these peptides you can get through your doctor, through a pharmacy. My doctor was an asshole. He believes that whatever the government teaches him, that's the only thing. It's the only thing. So he wouldn't write me a prescription. So I actually got it online through a research company. And I actually got a bottle from a friend. I don't want to relay his name. And I tried it, and I think it works. It works. And anybody has problems with cartilage, tendon, and muscle, that's what it affects. I urge you all to at least look at it. There's not one negative review on it. Anyway, so yes, to answer your question, I went on rambling. I apologize. It has worked phenomenally.
It's funny because probably 7-8 months ago, I was in the gym benching. I can't bench anymore. I train my chest a different way now. I use the hammer strength machines, and personally, I think it's more effective anyway. But I destroyed my shoulder from benching over the years, and I was benching about 7-8 months ago, and it almost put me on my knees with the shoulder pain. What you did when you did that circular motion, I couldn't do that, so I started running BPC 157 because I knew I had to do something. And I ran TB 500 a little bit, which works really well with it. But I ran a whole lot more BPC than anything else. And I tell you what, I can do that motion now, and I'm probably 50 to 70% better. It's tolerable. When it flares up, I run the BPC again, and it's fine. It's not 100%. It never will be till I get it fixed. But if I can stay off the table, that's my goal. And something that people don't understand about peptides, you're absolutely right. All they are is amino acids. BPC 157 was actually originally discovered by the gastric tract. It's a gastric juice your body makes, so they've been able to mimic that with aminos. All peptides are, whether it's melanotan to make you tan better, it doesn't matter. They're just amino acids that tell your body to do something. And what TB and 157 do is they tell your body to heal and send blood to the affected area. Even if you go to the doctor and get human growth hormone prescribed to you, that is 192 amino acids. That is all it is. People don't know that.
No, I think a lot of people in the medical industry is training the average patient to believe that if it doesn't come from within their system, it's a fraud. Now, I'm not saying everything that everybody swears by is medically proven. I'm not saying that, but there are certain things. TB 500 that you mentioned, I just want to make sure our listeners know, is just another peptide. That's all it is. It's a chain of amino acids. Wow, that was a tongue twister. Which is no different than a different kind of a protein. It's all amino acids are. When you take a look at the back of a protein powder, this amino acid, this amino acid, this amino, that's what it is. Most post workouts and intra workout drinks, amino acid based. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that we're not talking about drugs per se. We're just talking about things our body normally makes on its own.
Oh yeah, and neither of us are doctors or financial advisors. We're just sitting here having a conversation, But yeah, so I've had great success with it. I'm glad you have too. There's actually research that suggests that BPC and TB are good for cardiovascular repair. And there's also research that suggests BPC is effective for your eyes and your teeth, and your GI tract repair, because that's actually where it came from. It's interesting stuff. I've had great success with it. Those are the only 2 peptides I've ever run in my life. But if you find yourself in a situation, and I agree with you, if they can't make money on it, they don't want to promote it. Like NAC, that's an amino acid I take orally every day on an empty stomach. That produces glutathione in your body, which is it's a precursor. Glutathione is your body's strongest antioxidant that it has. They pulled that off the market. Now it's back. They halfway pulled it. They threatened to pull it during the thing a few years back, because they found that it was an effective treatment for that, and they could not patent it. That's why they did it for money. But the reason that they gave us is because, people are marketing it as a hangover cure. It's in a lot of those things you get at the liquor store. Take this pill today, don't be hungover tomorrow. That's what it does, because it detoxifies your body. So they threaten to pull it under the premise of, oh, this has been marketed as a hangover cure, even though it's been approved since like 1985 by the FDA, and that's not right. Well, they were using it for that for years. They pulled it because it was an effective treatment for the you know what that they couldn't make money on. That's exactly what they did. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Well, I do know one thing. The medical industry, although the doctors themselves might not realize it, because I'm in defense of doctors, they might not realize that their industry has turned into a legalized dope dealing system. I have a good example. I have acid reflux. It's basically if I don't eat well, I get heartburns, especially at night when I sleep. Now there is a surgical procedure to fix it, to permanently fix it, but they won't. They've been selling me heartburn pills since 1999. These not over the counter, I'm sorry, Prilosec and the purple pill, various pills. And that's how they make their money. They're no longer in the business of fixing you. And therefore, I don't believe it's in their interest to prescribe you something that might permanently fix you. Again, I want to reiterate that not every doctor is like that, but even the good doctors have their hands tied. And that's why sometimes if you go, like you said, if you go outside the system, but please people, be careful. If you go outside the system, do your research first. There are things outside their system that does work. My arm. I just entered my fifth month of rehab. I'm sorry, post-op. When I say rehab, I've been going to physical therapy as well. That's part of rehab. But the month of May, look at this. I mean,
that's awesome.
You know, can I bench yet? Absolutely not. My physical therapist doesn't think I'll be as well. Speaking about bench pressing, he allowed me now to lean up against kitchen counters where your body's like this and just do bench presses off my kitchen counter with my hands. So he's already cleared me for body weight. So I think the next step, instead of kitchen counters, he's going to allow me to do push-ups. That might be in another month. To me, when I do the research on the internet, how long does it take to do this? How long does it take to do that? And people from the bodybuilding community who've had this type of surgery say it would take 7 months. It takes 8 months. I'm doing it. My 4th month just ended. I just entered my 5th month. I'm already started the process. So I think it works. I definitely think it works.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for asking.
And what you said about, they don't get paid to fix you. No, because they get kickbacks by writing prescriptions and stuff. It's like a bad mechanic, right? You take your car to a bad mechanic. You take your car to a bad mechanic. He or she puts a Band-Aid on it, and you're back in a week, paying them to put another Band-Aid on it because they don't fix the root cause. I have acid reflux, and believe it or not, it's backward. It sounds like backward thinking, but apple cider vinegar actually adds acid to the system, which helps. And marshmallow root, which is an herb, it actually heals your GI tract. So does BPC. It's crazy. Did you say we're limited to 40 minutes doing it this way on StreamYard?
So here's what I've read. When I did the research on StreamYard, for those people who don't know, it is the streaming software that Constitutional Stacker and I are currently using right now. So when I did the research, Constitution, it said 40 minutes. Then when I signed up, it said I have 2 hours, a free 2 hours in 1 week. And then I have to upgrade. I have to pay for it. So what I don't know. I really don't know. So I don't know if I have 40 minutes a day till it equals 2 hours. I don't know.
And I forgot this when you brought this up. It said the same thing to me, and I've used it 100 times. I mean, so it said, I've got 2 hours free, and I asked a buddy of mine. He goes, "No, I don't know why they say that. I've used it for numerous live streams, and I've never done the upgrade package. It's weird. One more thing I do want to touch on. Do you know what foot drop is? You're muted. You're muted. Your microphone is muted.
Yeah, yes, I purposely mute it when you
Oh,
talk out of courtesy. That way the sound from the speakers do not come back into the microphone and cause a reverb for our listeners. You and I might not hear that reverb, but I guarantee you when the video posts, they'll hear it if I allow the mic to be open while you speak.
absolutely. Well, that's why I use headphones, but I thought you were talking when it was muted. So I had foot drop, and I did my research, and you know, I all these doctors are saying, oh, you need this brace. It takes up to a year, and after a year, your healing stops. I had such a bad case. I went to my chiropractor. I could not lift, and I woke up with it one day. I slept wrong. My spine jacked up my nerve. I woke up with it one day, and I'm telling you, man, I was like, "What's going on?" I'd walk, and my foot would just slam to the floor. I did some research. I typed into Google what vitamins repair nerves, and it's B vitamins, three in particular. And what I know is B vitamins are water soluble, and you take them on an empty stomach, but you can't absorb much of them. So what I did was I took those for about 3 weeks while I waited for something from Walmart or Amazon.com to show up. And that thing was injectable B complex. Again, not a drug, a vitamin, a bunch of different vitamins. And you know what happened? I had no improvement of taking it orally. After that first shot, I was improved 15%. 3 shots, it was cured. But they won't tell you that. They'll sell you a brace.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I think maybe we should call it a day. I'm gonna go take a rest, and I got to take my dog for a walk and whatnot. So it was really a pleasure speaking with you about silver, and I hope people. Yeah, I wanted to say something, you know, and I need to start by saying the reason why I got into stacking, and it was back in 2012, 13, 14 when I got into stacking, and to set the reason why I did it, I felt something wasn't right. You could feel it. There's an evil almost, and I hate to use that word evil. There was something uneasy in the air, even, and you could feel something was wrong and something was going to get worse, and that was financial system and just everything in general. And when I conveyed those thoughts in videos back when I started, it might have almost sound like I was prophesizing. I'm trying to speak very carefully. And when you prophesize bad things, if they don't happen, like a light switch like this, people think you're crazy. But everything has happened. It just didn't happen back when I was doing my first videos. What I want to tell people, I guess, is if you're sitting on the fence about stacking silver and gold, don't wait. Okay. Time is running out. Things are getting worse. Now, you might not notice things are getting worse if you're living with your parents still, because we do have some young stackers out there. You might not notice things are getting financially worse if you live with your parents and they're taking the brunt of the financial burden. You might not notice a lot of things. But trust me, things are getting worse financially, politically. So I urge everybody to do two things: get out of debt, because that will, I always, excuse me, always say that they're trying to tie our hands. I'll just say it politically. They're trying to keep us tied. our hands tied. And one of the things that bind our hands, one of the things that bind us, one of the things that enslave us is debt. So when you're debt free and you have your own money out of the banking system, in your own system, you can never be enslaved, no matter what rules and regulations they might come up with next. So please, if you're going to take anything from Constitutional Stacker or I, get out of debt and start stacking silver. Constitutional, it's been a blast. I hope we can do it again sometime in the future. I want to say thank you for your time. I know you were busy and you had to maneuver your working schedule around and whatnot to do this with me. Thank you so much.
Well, I just had to get my lazy butt out of bed earlier, but it's all right. I got laundry I need to get done, and I need to meal prep. So it worked out well. I got about 4 hours before I go to work, so I got a little bit of time. I do have an hour commute, but hey, man, it was a lot of fun, and I agree with what you just said. And everyone that watches us is awesome. So keep stacking.
Take care. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching.